December 23rd is a historical day in my life because that's the day that changed my life radically. And maybe you have a date like that where your life took a pivotal change. Some of you have an expected change, and I had an unexpected change. And the reason why I chose to broadcast on this day is because I think we are all in an era of unprecedented change. So maybe it's relevant to hear about how to go about that. On December 23rd, 2011, I had a normal day like you probably have today. So busy, trying to make everything happen, buy the last presents, finish the last things up in time for Christmas. And on that day, my beloved 7-year-old son, for the 4th time, was complaining about some pain around his upper body, on the left side, and we didn't really understand what is going on here. It wasn't a regular flu. What was it? And then we took him to the hospital to get him checked. And at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my husband called me and said, "You have to come because I have to go and make my live radio show, and they still haven't found out what's wrong with him." So I went, and at the time my son was lying in a huge scanner, this little boy, 6 years old, my middle son, a beautiful little freckled guy. I actually will show you a picture of it. This one. Ooh la la. Can you see? Yeah. It's like charming little boy. Full of fun. He was always making jokes and teasing, and very charming little boy. But he was at the time lying in a huge, enormous scanner, and the doctor came out, and I could see on her face that something was terribly wrong. So I asked her, "Is it serious?" And she looked at me, and I could see on her face, yes, it was. And she said, "Yes." And so it burst out of me because it was the most serious thing I could imagine. "Is it cancer?" And she said, "Yes." And that moment felt for me like when you sit in the theater and everybody's happy and dancing around, and it's summer and it's spring and it's just wonderful. And then suddenly the floor just moves, and what you see is you're in a completely different landscape, black and white, still, just frozen. I remember when she had said that, when I looked at my son, I could only see the hole in the family. He had 2 brothers on each side, and I could just see the empty space between them. And of course, I didn't want to accept that truth. So I spent the next 6 months running a marathon in sprint to try to save his life. And most of you know that I luckily, miraculously managed to help my son cure his incurable cancer. But the day after we celebrated that this had been possible, that there was no trace of cancer in his body, the day after, he died. So that was June 12, 2012. So those 2 dates are for me historical dates. And there's a before and an after those dates. And before December 11, 2023, I thought that if you're just positive enough, if you show up and you have willingness enough, if you just apply yourself enough, if you just work for it, if you want it enough, if you hold the vision, if you don't allow yourself to be overtaken by fear, then you will find a way. That was my conviction, and I lived my life accordingly. And I am sure that you can recognize this feeling yourself, because if you're an ambitious leader, founder, investor, board member, change maker, creative person, pioneer. You know that feeling. You know that it's about, going for it. And you probably have also studied what kind of mindset enables me to be manifesting what I want in my life. So you probably recognize that state. And I was actually so enthusiastic about that I was teaching it, and had been for 10 years, how to make the seemingly impossible possible. That was actually my area of expertise. So for me, it was just one more test. And that's why I applied myself like crazy. Well, not like crazy, but like very determined and very consciously during the 6 months where my son was having this incurable cancer. And that's also how I managed to help him cure the incurable cancer. And then the unexpected happened. The outcome that I had been going for, the reward for all this hard work, turned into a huge, enormous, devastating loss. I mean, how is that even possible? In the beginning, I was like, but what am I supposed to think now? What am I supposed to believe? I mean, there was the loss, the terrible, 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 terrible. I mean, it's still terrible. I was just traveling in Norway and I saw a family of 5, and I was just, that brought tears to my eyes. I used to be a family of 5. I had 3 kids. There's so many occasions where it's still a terrible, terrible loss as a mother who loves her child unconditionally. If you have children, you know what I mean. The children are the one place where we just allow ourselves to love fully. In all other places, we're like, can I do that? Can I trust this person? But with our children, we just give them everything, just completely open heart. So when we lose a child, it's like tearing the heart apart. So there was the loss as a mother, but there was also the loss of identity. Who was I if I wasn't the person that could make the seemingly impossible possible? Who was I if I wasn't the teacher of, you could say, inner leadership, feminine leadership, positive leadership, proactivity? Who was I if that didn't work? That was a big question, and it took me a long time to find out. It actually took me 13 years, a whole cycle of 13 years of listening, of learning, of humble not knowing, humble trying to navigate in the dark, humbly trying to download answers and connect to the place where the answers come from, and humble prayers to stay in touch with my beloved son, and countless dedicated hours, moments where I consciously went and sat in the dark or went away on retreats and tried to connect with my son. If you're there, give me a sign. How are you? Are you getting anything to eat? Who takes care of you? It's like, so much work. And I say that because sometimes I meet leaders who have heard about me from someone. It could be from some of their female colleagues or they've read about me in the newspaper or something like that. And they have the impression that I'm just like this very feminine goddess, like little bit, maybe a little bit superficial, wearing a lot of lipstick, and who is this woman? And so I just want to say to you, if you ever hear that one more time, if you ever have that impression, watch this video again. How can you go through losing your child and stay on the surface? I mean, if you find anybody who can do that, congratulations. I don't think that's possible. Losing a child or experience the death of a loved one or another catastrophe, which you probably have in your surroundings, you've probably seen. I mean, we don't need to look far. All the people in the war zones, all the people who are battling illness, all the people who are battling illness of their children. Hello. It doesn't take much imagination. If you've been in those shoes, you cannot stay on the surface. You cannot stay superficial unless you want to go completely down the drain. So once and for all, if you ever hear somebody thinking that I'm superficial, watch this video and think for yourself if that's even possible. Enough of this impression that the feminine, the people who are about balance between masculine and feminine, which is I'm all about, the people who are all about ascending from ego-driven, immature ego-driven lifestyle to a more essence-based lifestyle. If you think that's superficial, think again, because it's far from. It requires so much inner determination, so much power, so much strength to go through an episode like that in your life and remain sane. And not only become sane, but actually become happier, more grateful, more generous, more committed, more engaged in serving the whole. This is what I stand for. I want to use this experience to create an impact that is equivalent to my loss. So this is what I'm all about. This is interesting only because today it's not only personal, it is universal. We are at a very dark time in human history. There is darkness all around us. People trying to manipulate technology that's almost overpowering us, taking away our jobs, taking away our connections with each other, making people lonely, making people depressed. Then there's the climate that we have screwed up. Then there's the animals that we treat like you shouldn't even be allowed to be called human when you treat animals the way we treat animals. I mean, think of technology treating us like that. Hello. Do we want that? So there's so much darkness around us, and that darkness I feel we have to take responsibility for and say, where is that a mirror of the darkness within me? Is that because that's the best place to start to clean up. But this sharing is only interesting for you today, and it's my private story, my personal story, but it becomes relevant because it's everybody's story now. Everybody is living on an earth that is in crisis. And so it's a very good time to study how do you elevate from crisis? How do you go up instead of down? That's a very precious curriculum for all of us. And I believe that we are at this time in this history on this earth to solve that puzzle and to find ways and to share them and to help each other. So that's what I'm all about. That's what my work is all about. So if you ever doubt what is this woman doing in her way, which is not a traditional business school way, it's not a traditional leadership academy. I have a boutique leadership academy, and it's built on all these 13 years of wandering in the desert and in the dark and learning more and more and more, becoming more and more aware and more conscious, all with the commitment that this may serve. And so now I experience that when I have people who come to me who are in crisis, I'm able to pass on through transmission, not just teaching, which is done in normal business schools, but transmission from soul to soul, what I have experienced. And that enables other people to go through their crisis a zillion times faster because I can give them the recipe. And so other people I've heard say, about my book, I wrote a book that came to me, once my son was gone, which was so terrible in every way. And I didn't know what to do, what to live off. I was knocked out. Who am I? What am I supposed to do here? Why is this happening to me of all people? Why can other people keep their three children and I cannot? Why? And to answer all these questions, can't look in a book. You can't find them anywhere, but you have to go through it. You have to be there. You have to face the pain every time it shows up. And that's a lot of times. Face all these questions and try to listen from within. What is the answers to these questions? So I listened. I was for a couple of months in what I call the fertile void. And I called it the fertile void because the void is not only empty, it's actually a womb. It's actually, all new things are born in darkness. So I listened, and what came to me was to write the book that I always wanted to write, which was an argument for why we are all, as humans, the root cause of our problems is that we are breaking the natural law of balance between masculine and feminine, yin and yang. There has to be, any system that doesn't have that balance will go out of whack. And that's what has happened to all of us, that we have this imbalance, and that means that we go out of balance, inner balance and out of balance. And that's why we have a world that's not in balance. So I wanted to write a book about this particular perspective on the root cause of the problems of humanity and how we can solve them. And so that book came to me, and you should think, okay, then it's easy, I just write it. But it took me 4 years to write that book. 4 years. So difficult. I was trying to solve the mystery of humanity. What is our problem? How do we solve it? But the 4 years gave me an opportunity to actually experience, to live through the material. And the book is all about a recipe for going up instead of down. So it's like 7 facets. I call it 7 facets. Today I call it 7 facets of future agile leadership, because I think that it's what we need to all become able to do, be future agile. And it's so exciting for me because only now I am about to launch it in English, so we will hear more about that. But this book was published in 2016, and just 2 weeks later, Trump was elected the first time, and people thought that it wasn't realistic, that it was possible to go up instead of down. It was possible to create balance, especially not if you wanted more of the feminine. But my perspective is that Mr. Trump is actually making the future even more feminine, because he's showing us the problems with, he and many other leaders are showing us the what can be missing in a very one-sided leadership. So it's very good for us to see that loud and clearly, so we have the possibility to add what's missing. And that's going to be the title of the book that I will publish soon in English. Anyway, after that book was published, I realized I don't have the energy to market it. I'm exhausted. So I remember, doing in the beginning all the things I could to market that book, but I just was exhausted. So I thought to myself, I just wrote a book called The Future is Feminine. I better apply that medicine myself. So since then, I've been all about integrating these 7 facets, really, really using them, really, really chewing on them, really, really integrating, living, embodying them. Because I think that the new leadership is not only about saying the right things. A lot of people can say the right things. AI can say a lot of the right things. You feed it text from all over the world. You feed it your own book and it can say all the right things. But there's a very big difference between hearing the right things and living them. So for me, the job is to embody them. So that's what I've been preoccupied with the past, since, that's 9 years. and creating a lot of leadership labs to test this recipe for going up instead of down in times of crisis. Does that only work for me, or can it also work for other people? So I've tested it on entrepreneurs, on solopreneurs, on women, on men, on everything in between, on teams, on companies, all kinds of different experiments I've made. And so now I know this recipe works. It's a solid recipe and it works every time. So that's just to say that the people who say that my material is like homemade and it's not real because it doesn't come out of a university or a PhD or something like that, you know what? It comes out of the University of Life. It is tested. It's about universal principles that we can use, all of us, in spite of, it doesn't matter which religion, which culture, which age, which generation. It is useful for all of us because it's about universal, timeless principles such as authenticity, integrity, proactivity, synchronicity, totality, complementarity, polarity. So these are principles that we all have access to. And I believe it's time that we sorry, that's my phone. I believe it's time that we invest in becoming the best humans we can be. Because we're at a time where not only is there darkness around us, but there's also a threat to humankind. I mean, we are a threat to the climate ourselves and to biodiversity and all kinds of other things. But we are also threatened ourselves by AI, which is evolving at exponential speed. So how are you going to stay, if AI doubles its capacity every 3.3 months and you don't, what's going to happen with you and your job and your capacity in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? How are you going to be relevant? How are you even going to be interesting? How are you going to make a living? Okay, you can get a citizen wage, but is that satisfying for you to just be overpowered by technology that can do everything better than you? That's not interesting for most of us. So now is the time to invest in consciousness, to invest in heart intelligence, to invest in all the intelligence that AI can never, ever replicate. And that's why I stop on this December 23rd when I have a lot of other things to do. And I stop because it's a historical date that reminds me of the importance to learn how to navigate in the darkness and learn how to alchemize darkness into light. And I believe this is what I have been so incredibly blessed to experience. This is where my son in heaven has been the most extraordinary teacher and the most loving, kind, adorable teacher. I mean, I have so much to thank this little guy for. I miss him every day in the physical world, but I am blessed beyond belief with what he has taught me, which enables me now to share the light with everybody who wants it. And I would love to do that for more people. I am done with trying to convince everybody, because if you can't see the need for transformation or the need for upgrading or the need for changing something, then this is not the right time for you. But if you can see, all this darkness, could that be a sign that our old ways are not sufficient? It's not that everything we've done so far is bad, but there's something missing. It's insufficient. It does not give us the kind of future we would like to have. It creates so many new problems. So there must be something else we can do, both in our personal lives and in our families, our relationships, our families, in our workplaces, in our societies, there must be another way. And I'm all about helping you and your company find that other way. And you know what? It sounds like it's so hard work, and it is. It is hard work for the pioneers, I have to tell you. But then again, it's not that hard because all of us have had guides, angels on earth, people who've gone before us who can teach us. We actually, as humanity, have many, many wise masters who've gone before us, the Buddhas, the Jesuses. So we have, success leaves clues, right? So we actually all have guidelines. We all have guidance, and we might not be able to use it in the old dogmatic way. We have to apply it and melt it with our own inner knowing, our own inner intelligence. It's not about copying what others have done. It's about allowing ourselves to be guided and inspired, and then creating our own path that can inspire others. And that is a very, very, I cannot think of anything more entertaining, more empowering, more engaging, more extraordinary. It's, for me, it's like, hallelujah. So the devastating loss led to immense inner richness. I feel so, so, so blessed. So what a paradox that something that's so painful becomes so blissful. But if I can do it, everybody can do it. And that's why I'm inviting you to consider joining this movement in 26. 26 is going to be the beginning of a whole new era. There's so many things happening right now. There's so many changes happening. We're in it, and maybe none of us have any idea what the future will bring. But that's why it's good to be equipped with the best human abilities you have, equipped with the most power, the most light, the most fearlessness, the most committed community, the most open heart. The open heart is very, very strong. And the most determination to turn this into an upgrade for everybody. So I think it's time to join forces and to practice this together. And that's why I invite you to check out my programs for 26, but that's not why I created this live. I just wanted to honor this day and what I learned. And I also wanted to once and for all dismiss the idea that it's even possible to stay on the surface or stay in just creating some kind of all sizzle no steak. That's not even possible. Congratulations if it's possible for you. It definitely wasn't possible for me, and I'm grateful for that. So if you wanted to get a taste of these 7 facets, I'm hosting 2 New Year's retreats. Actually, I'm hosting a live one as well in Copenhagen. But the two online retreats are, you can just go on my social media and find a link somewhere. I'm posting about it all the time because I'm trying to inspire you to really, really listen for what wants to happen in 26 and create the best year ever, not only for yourself, but for your loved ones and for humanity. For now, I want to really, really thank you for your attention, all the beautiful comments. Thank you so much. And there's a lot of bizarre comments, but okay. Thank you so much for listening, and wishing you a very, very blessed Christmas and a completely miraculous new year. Thank you so much, and all the best to you.